It's just that, it's 2022. David R. Hawkins, late 1990s, became very well known as the American spiritual teacher. And okay, I don't want to tell you again and again, but if you're a student and you just can't help but blurting out something in the middle of me talking, don't. Write it down on a piece of paper what your question is or what your comment is. And then at the end of the talk, in the comment section, put your question or your comment there. But if you blurt it out, it's just that some students are telepathically contacting and connecting to me in the middle of the lecture and interjecting telepathically into my talk. And that's why the first take didn't take, because Brent Beeson chronically uses, that technique in order to ruin my talk. Because Brent Beeson is not interested in giving a talk of his own, Brent Beeson is just a shit fuck. Anyways, David Hawkins told us 540 is doable for everybody on the planet. That is the score possible for everybody in that lifetime to get. Everybody on planet Earth could hit 540. So, that's unconditional love is it's basically the happy dog. Somebody who loves their dog and their dog loves them and they're just so happy and they go off, for a nice walk. And sometimes you get one of those really smart dogs that doesn't need a leash. Alex Zook and his dog Max were like that in downtown Vancouver. Max is the most amazing dog. Max doesn't need a leash. Milo, the dog, that, was my friend, needed a leash all the time because Milo just was not trustworthy when it came to around, bolting out into traffic. But Max knows, don't jump out into traffic. It's like, look both ways. Max would look both ways, but still would, not go until it's like time to go. Max and Alec were like really, really good. Human and dog, and a dog that didn't need a leash in downtown Vancouver. Absolutely amazing dog. Was he trained that way? I don't know exactly how he got to be. I don't know. Why didn't Milo? I don't know. He's just like, I don't know. It was just the way it was. But regardless of that, I don't know. But 540 around Milo, I don't know. If I could go high on that, then yeah. I don't know. I can't tell you how much I love that dog. I can't tell you. It's just love that dog. Just love that dog. Just gonna look at that dog. If that dog could look at you, and you're just like I could look at you all the time. I just love you. One of those kind of dogs. So that's what we're talking about, consciousness wise. And having that feeling that you have, or you can see me have with, those dogs that I just love. And having that feeling for, um, um, Okay, so you have to go and figure out where you're at on the scale of human consciousness. Transcending the Levels of Consciousness is the textbook. David R. Hawkins is the author. Now, in the book, at the end of the book, there's an appendix that tells you how to do muscle testing. And if you learn to do muscle testing, you can get a number where you are. It'd be a good idea to get somebody else to, then I don't want to tell you. In the end, what you need to do is read the book, because the book gives you a description that your logical, rational mind can grasp. So that it can, because your rational monkey mind loves to judge, and if you give it a scale and a good description of what everybody on the scale, every level on the scale, a really good verbal description, if you're that kind of person, maybe you could get the audiobook version of it. Transcending the Levels of Consciousness. I don't know if there's an audio version, but quite likely there is. Have a good listen, and you get an idea about every level of consciousness between 1 and 1,000. And then you got to try and remember what a logarithmic scale is, because it's a logarithmic scale. Don't look at me. I remember we talked about logarithms in math, but it's not accessible to me right now. So, you'll have to try to remember back, because you all took the same logarithm, math classes that I did. I'm sure you did. If you didn't, well, it doesn't matter. I can't teach you. It's just that 1 plus 1, like if you move 1 on the scale, if it's a logarithmic scale, it's like one tick is like, the first tick is 1 and the second tick is 10. And then it's 100. And then it's 1,000. That's the way the progression goes. Rather than if it's a standard scale, not logarithmic, then it's like 1, 2, 3, 4 for the graphing of it all. So we've been talking a lot about, we can't really explain it too much other than all the people that are like not watching my videos, that should be watching my videos, are going to have to get this information from me talking into the quantum field. Because according to the Arcturian Council, those are extraterrestrials. That's really good for me to do, to help get my points out even if people aren't actively listening. So we've been talking about a lot of different ideas about how all this works. That is me talking into the quantum field, which just seems to be air here, but it's more than air. Because I'm using more than just the vibrations of, my, what do you call, vocal box or whatever, vocal cords, yes. Because there's an energetic thing here that's called a chakra, that also seems to be working beyond just vibrating my vocal cords. Why? Because we're just trying to extend the ideas that beyond vibrating the air here, there's, energetics that are going on. Because we like the word energetics, and I was asked earlier to try to include the word energetics into this talk. Usually when we talk about energetics, we're talking about human energetics. So, like if you listen to Lee Harris on YouTube, he gives off energy reports. And they're kind of astrology, but he's very intuitive and he feels energy with his energy body. And he reports on what he feels And it gives a good verbal. So Lee Harris, you can go and check him out, and that's what we're talking about when we're talking about the energetics. It's what Lee Harris would be talking about. What are the energetics that I'm feeling in words? Um, Twilight Zone. Yes. Remember the TV show Twilight Zone? There was does that sound Twilight Zone to you? In other words, wouldn't you expect me to actually be talking? Me, I would too. I was rudely interrupted, hijacked. Anyways, in the Twilight Zone is simply because hinky things are happening. Hinky means, um, well, to a muggle, when things got really hinky at Harry Potter's uncle's house in Mugglesville, it got too hinky for the Muggle family, and they packed up their car in a big hurry and they left the house, abandoned the house, because it was too hinky for them. Like in Mary Poppins, when Mary Poppins first showed up and she had, the Mary Poppins ways about her. Well, when the dad first met Mary Poppins, he wasn't totally thrilled with Mary Poppins. But Mary Poppins spun him around a few times, and he came around to her way of looking at things. So clearly, the dad in Mary Poppins was the one who was out of line, and Mary Poppins had to come and straighten him out. And most people need Mary Poppins to come into their life because most people need major straightening out. Mostly because most people are. We have to come back to that. How do we know that most people need a Mary Poppins or something stronger in their life? Because David Hawkins of Consciousness Research told us. Late 1990s, when year 2000, when he was doing all of his muscle testing, 78% of humans on planet Earth calibrated under 200 on the scale of human consciousness. That's the shithole end of the scale. Shitty, shitty, shitty people. 78%. So we didn't expect, to get a huge number of people to, make harvest time, because it is harvest time according to the law of one and the ascended master Sananda. Harvest time is, it's where you have a chance to get off the reincarnational cycle. Everyone knows the Buddhist cycle or the Hindu cycle where, you're... Anyways, I just get reborn over and over again, maybe as a human, maybe as a duck, maybe as an ant, maybe as a fuck. I don't know. Anyways, that's your opportunity to get off the reincarnational cycle and live a different kind of experience. Right now, this lifetime, and that's what David Hawkins told us, 78% of humans are absolutely horrific. And, doesn't mean that, you can't make progress. It just, I wouldn't expect with 78% of the people living at rock bottom, 78% of humans on population planet Earth living at rock bottom lives. They're going to say, well, I don't know. There's most people seem to live in houses in my town. Well, okay. But, my When I go to the grocery store, I walk by the liquor store. And the liquor store is just always just jammed, and the people don't come out with one small bottle of booze. No, they've got enormous amounts of booze when they come out. It's never just one small bottle. No, it's like an armful, a grocery bag full of multiple bottles. And that liquor store is busy all the time. Well, why do people drink? Social, etc. I know, but after you've been social for so many occasions, usually at some point people start to think to themselves, maybe I'm drinking too much. And you first say that when you're 16 years old and you went to the school dance and you had drank a bunch of somebody's vodka. Well, they were making, I don't know, Harvey Wallbangers or something. Anyways, and then, well, I don't know, you puked or something, and then you were terribly hungover for 3 days, and then you thought, oh my God, why does anybody want to drink this horrible poison? And I don't know, then you continue and you continue and continue, and some people eventually go, they say, I don't want to do this again, and then you find next weekend that you are doing it again, and I don't want to be hungover again. You just find the pattern is, I hate feeling hungover, but somehow I always end up drunk and hungover every Saturday, and I hate feeling Saturday and Sunday hungover, but I like being drunk on Friday night and Saturday night or something. So the energetics are in twilight zone because 78% of humans calibrate under 200. In your town, though, I mean, if you have a homeless problem, it's not 78% of the population of your town that are homeless. So clearly people who are under 200 on the scale of human consciousness are being housed. The Twilight Zone situation is 78% of the human population is a write-off, right off the bat. Because pass at Earth School is 540 on the scale of human consciousness. 78% of the population is under 200. The shithole end of the scale of human consciousness. So, 78% of your community are going to have the ultimate Twilight Zone because they just think they're normal. Because they're the majority of your town, 78%. They're the majority of your town. And they think they're normal. They think their version of acting, their behavior, their ways of thinking are normal, and they are to them. Because 78% of the world population calibrates under 200. Now, Dr. Hawkins of Consciousness Research, he has said, well, in Western countries like the United States or let's say Germany, 50% of the people calibrate under 200 and 50% over. So he did seem to think that some countries, I know, but he was an American. And I think he has a certain bias because of his generation, and he always said things that were a little bit enough to make me think that he was a little bit touched. I know he was a spiritual teacher, but nobody is you know, no one's going to take 100% of what I say as face value, and I say don't, because quite often I'm hijacked by, electronic harassment. But it doesn't mean that I'm lying 100% of the time. No. I'm not intentionally lying, but sometimes I do get hijacked. But I don't intend to lie to you. It's just that with the Twilight Zone scenario, well, whether it's 50% or 78% of the population that calibrates under 200, the Twilight Zone is either, 50% of the people are shocked or 78% of the people are shocked. The ultimate Twilight Zone is after they've had what they think is a middle class, life in their town. When something happens and it's, I don't know, the apocalypse right now, and they're judged. And they're judged as not even at 200 on the scale of human consciousness, and they're all marched into hell. And it's like they can't believe it. They're looking at each other and they're saying, why? This doesn't make any sense. These are all the people that are on my street. I work with those people over there. I worked with those people over there 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I worked with those people. And I used to go down to the restaurant. I remember those people. I remember seeing them before. And those people, I saw them when I was on vacation. When I remember. And those other people, a different time. And those people I remember from 5th grade or whatever. And then you're just like the massive Twilight Zone, because you're all like looking around and you see, well, what's this going on? It's like this. Because you've been marched into hell. That's the Twilight Zone. Because everybody thought that everybody else around them was like, an okay person, middle class or whatever, and they were all doing the middle class thing, but they were judged and, they weren't over 200. And they certainly weren't way up at 540 where they have to be in order to pass Earth School. So you had, whenever years you had, some people, got it cheap and they got, 15 years as a human before Judgment Day. And some people got 87 years before Judgment Day came around. But Judgment Day comes. And on the Twilight Zone version, on that particular Judgment Day, whenever that now day is, all those people went from, Earth that looks like this, with blue sky, and we still have a bit of snow left over, spring melt or whatever. But, it's blue sky or whatever, and you go from that to raging... I don't know, flame, fire, I don't know, looks like Hades or Gehenna. And, the Twilight Zone. Because that's your new home, hell. Because you didn't make 540 on the scale of human consciousness. And David R. Hawkins of Consciousness Research was told by God to tell us 540 is where you need to be. When he put out those videos and things and his books, let's go with, I don't know, late 1990s, the year 2000, around there. So, that's a long time. He said in his books, waste no time. Right at the very beginning of his books, waste no time, Gloria in Excelsis Deo. And he told us that Earth is a purgatorial realm. Purgatory, it means you're not good enough to get to heaven, so you have to change. Heaven is not going to change to lower itself to you. You need to raise yourself to heaven. You raise yourself by raising yourself on the scale of human consciousness. That's Earth School. Everything else is fluff and distractions because you're on probation. And in order to get off probation and get out into the general galaxy, you have to get to 540 or better on the scale. That's a pass. And you're going to say, well, I got a happy dog or whatever. Well, that's just not good enough. Because all kinds of other things that you do as a human being keep you in low consciousness. And if you don't understand, then you're a shitty ignoramus. And you're still not fit for heaven, regardless of I didn't know. Well, if you didn't know, then you're not fit for heaven. Because anybody that's here that's interested in heavenly realm is going to be a sincere spiritual student. Somebody's interrupting me. I can't help you out. I don't know. It's just like, I don't know, just rudeness. Rudeness, and attacking me while I'm in the middle of talking is not going to get you to 540.